Okay, now we're on to staff. Very solid, very strong, lots of burst, lots of DPS, lots of crowd control potential, lots of area denial, just all around great weapon type. So we're probably going to go over them in order, not based on what I currently have on my bar. So as you can see, you start out with 3 abilities. You have magic bolt, which I don't know why they didn't just say magic missile or some fucking bullshit. But then again, there probably would have been some troll statement there. But I mean, that's just the internet in general. Healing surge, heal self, heal other. Fireball, good damage over time, just fantastic. And then we'll keep the other ones on there simply because, and we'll show off some of the abilities here. Let's go ahead and knock this off my bar for now, because we don't really need it right now. We'll go ahead and throw something else on here, like stasis. We'll throw that on there. Anyways, so you have your basic attack. Does a good amount of damage. It's not an area of effect, so you could try and do this, but it's just a single target damage, even though it looks like it's an area. So, for example, I stand right here, I shoot the ground, it only hits him, not me, because there's an offensive target in the area. If I shoot the ground next to myself, I do damage to myself. And it does more damage based on a range, which you have to get really close before it does less damage. So that's something it has over Totem in that regard. And it's kind of unfair, actually, but whatever. Staff came out first, Totem was more of a supportive line, whatever. We're going to go over the heal now, which obviously considerable amount of healing. I'm not sure why I lagged there, but we'll leave that one alone. So we throw it out. You have a decent heal. It's only at level 1 right now. Obviously, as you level it up, it gets an increase up to 75. But all in all, the cooldown's nice. You can move around while using it, so that's also very handy. And you do not have to worry about someone body blocking. So say I can heal over top of him to heal that target. So that's relatively unfair. I mean, compared to Totem, yeah, Totem is quicker because it's an instantaneous throw, but it can be body blocked. This one, you can't do anything to. You want to heal that target, it's getting healed. You want to heal yourself, like say, oh, you're like, oh shit, I need to heal myself. And you throw it on yourself. And I guess the heal from Totem would be stronger for self, in a way. I would have to actually check the exact numbers there, but it's very hard to tell unless, I sit there with timestamps. And sadly, the system information, all it tells me is, there's no actual combat log, which I wish there was. That would help considerably. But we'll just go ahead and go with what we have. The healing surge on self, I would probably say, is better until you consider the fact that you can buff healing and resistance, so there's that Totem has going for it. But all in all, staff still has very good healing for others, even without a resistance buff. It cannot be body blocked, so it's a very safe choice for a new healer that maybe isn't used to avoiding healing other people. I come from Fallen Earth, so there's a pretty big difference on nano healing versus empathic healing, where you actually have to aim directly at the target, versus the other one where you select that target and you can just heal it, whatever. But we're rambling on now, so we're going to go ahead and go to Fireball. Solid damage, you can move around, you can cast it, puts a damage over time effect, does good damage, very low cooldown. I would probably say it is superior to Poison, except for the fact that the dot does not last very long, but because of the fact that it does double the damage at, for example, Poison at level 10 does 25 damage per second. This does 50 damage per second at level 1, and doubles up to 80. Poison, on the other hand, only goes to 30 damage per second. So you can pretty much see the point there. You throw it out, you do some damage, the dot falls off, it has 2 seconds remaining, so yeah, it missed 2 ticks, but it doesn't matter, because the base damage is already 60, it goes to 90, the damage over time is double that of mid-grade, and roughly a third better at max. So I'm not sure what their logic was here. And even if you consider like, oh, it does less damage at closer range, it really, really doesn't matter. Like, I sit all the way back here. Like, yeah, I do a little bit extra damage, but you'll notice, you know, I moved about halfway closer. We're going to move a little closer again. We're trying to see where the damage reduction is right here. I'm not really sure where the balance was there between, say, totem and staff in terms of damage reduction based on range, which the same can be said for bow, but totem gets shafted. You move not even 2 steps forward, you're losing 2, 3, 4 damage. Staff, bow, you're not even losing that until you get right up their ass. And even then, it's not a huge reduction. You're still doing a considerable amount of damage. Like, it says the minimum damage is 28, so you can't get closer than, you know, up their butthole. I mean, you can't. Legitimately cannot get closer. Like, see, right there, when I got right up on them, that's the 28 minimum damage. What? But, you know, I step a little bit over here, I throw it again, 47. The hell? Anyways. So, we go ahead and jump our attention to Incinerate. This is a very long casting ability. It does root you in place. The projectile is slow, but that damage, though, that base damage is 156 and goes up to 384. The damage over time is 40 damage a second. And it jumps up to 60 damage a second. Like, you cannot tell me you can't set this up properly. You go ahead and look at, say, Suspended Lightning. It's a 1-second stun. Whoop-de-doo. Not a big deal. You throw it, they get stunned, this is already going. Boom. Like, you can't even match that kind of burst on, say, you know, its counterpartner as a magic attacking weapon, such as Totem, and the area is, you know, as big as, you know, Gravity Well, and it just does so much, and you have so much actual good CC that doesn't fill up the determination bar immediately. So, all in all, like, and if you stay in there, it pretty much kills you. There's no contest there. So, I mean, there's a lot of burst potential, there's a lot of DPS, nobody's debating that, and even then, like, as you level Suspended Lightning, the delay is shorter, the radius is larger, but you obviously can't hit these two. I'm sure if you level it up, you can probably maybe hit these two, because I mean, 2 meters versus 3 meters. Yeah, you probably could hit both of these, but you'll be more likely to hit both of these. But let's move on to Stasis. So this is a 3-second Mesmerize. It does provide determination to your target. Ooh, no. I hit the wrong key because I'm a genius. But you Mesmerize. If you hit them, it hits you back. Now, the thing is with this, there's actually a few key things to note. So let's say I go ahead and I throw Stasis. And so I go to throw a heal. Oh, so this one's fine. Alright, so I was testing this with someone earlier with Totem. So Stasis, you throw it on them. They're mesmerized. If they get hit by any projectiles or attacks during the actual stasis, which we're going to try it again to confirm that that's a thing. Yeah, so you can heal with this, but if you used Totem's Healing Seed or Revitalize, it will hit you for the damage. So that's another thing that I'm going to probably bring up right now. Well, not even probably, definitely bring up. I can heal with this safely if someone gets mesmerized, but I could not do that with Totem. And that's a huge factor right there, because you could actually throw this on an enemy. Say like you do a lot of burst, and you know they're going to go heal him, but you want him to not get away. You swap to the other target, that guy goes to heal him, and boom, he gets hit by damage. Kind of stupid. There are other nice things about that. You can use Stasis with, say, Split Mail, and use Transform Pain, and you can heal yourself that way. I don't know if you would really consider that as a viable option, but it is pretty solid in that regard, because you could hit them with stasis, hit them with a big ability, swap to your splint mail, and heal yourself for that. But I honestly think that's way too much energy for a very meager heal, so I would not recommend doing that. We're going to go ahead and throw some other abilities on here. Earth Wall, let's go ahead and move decoy off of there. And fuck it, let's throw emergency heal on there. And we'll do lightning wall. Because I don't really care if I die right now. Like what? I could lose my +3 leather. Doesn't really matter. So I still kept Magic Bolt on there for a basic attack, because I mean, what am I going to replace it with? So we have emergency heal. It starts at a 30% heal for other and goes up to 70%. And then the heal self is 20% to 30%. It might be like Revitalize, where the information is wrong. I believe the same thing for Healing Totem. It's also a little wrong there. So this one might be a little higher on self, but who knows. There is a radius, so I don't understand that. I don't know if that means, like, you know, it'll heal both or just me. Yeah, see, it healed me. But it has a very long cooldown. Its base cooldown, if I'm not mistaken, is 60 seconds, which will state right here. Yeah, 60 seconds, even though it's 59.9 seconds. I wish they would fix that, because that doesn't make any damn sense. If it's supposed to be 60 seconds, the base amount should be 60 seconds, but I'm sure the game rounds up anyways, so whatever. So we're going to move on to the next ability. While that's on cooldown, we're going to throw up Lightning Wall. You can move while casting that, and if somebody runs into it, they get stunned. These can be attacked, as you can see, but honestly I would probably not recommend attacking them unless you have something that can take them down immediately. So Gravity Well will block it, other walls will block it, pretty much any ground effect, including Incinerate, I believe, will also block it. So be mindful of that when you're using Incinerate. You cannot use Lightning Wall, so you could maybe like prep this to be in front of you, somebody has to go through it, so you're pretty much safe. You dance around, they run through it, they get stunned. Whatever, not a big deal. And here's the emergency heal for other, so as you can see, at the first ranks, not very impressive, not by any means, but when you get up to that 70%, that right there is when you have an actual very viable heal, at least for its cooldown. You know, somebody's really low, they're able to get away, you're like, oh shit, I got you, bro, 70% heal. Very nice. But I would probably say heal other is superior in that regard, which I'll show now, which starts at 250, goes to 450. Its cooldown, 6 seconds. And it acts the same as Healing Surge. You can still move while doing it, so you don't wait for that long cooldown. You still heal, you know, I'd say roughly a third of anyone's HP, unless they buff their HP, but you're not going to be able to buff your HP to God tier proportions. It'll be a little higher than probably a third, but all in all, I'd rather be able to do, you know, a bunch of that rather than, you know, a bunch of crap, basically. As you can see, I started using Ice Bolt, which is a slow 4-second duration, decent damage. It claims it does less damage when you're closer. I'm assuming, yeah, less damage when you're closer. Again, not a huge difference between the distances, unlike Totem, for example, which you see a considerable damage loss. Well, see, I couldn't see the damage numbers there. Another thing they need to fix. But yeah, solid damage, good slow, very low cooldown. The determination barely gets affected. By the time you're able to cast it again, their determination is removed, so it does not matter. This is actually a very good ability. It keeps people at bay. Very solid. Oh, well, he just did the damage increase, as you can see. Fantastic. Then we go for Lightning Bolt. Pretty much same deal, but it silences your target. Boom, and they're silenced. It's pretty self-explanatory. You silence for 3 seconds, does some damage, etc. but still a very useful spell because, you know, you get close, like, yeah, it's less damage, but it's a silence. They can't attack, they can't use their abilities, which obviously a basic attack such as your magic bolt, that's technically able to be silenced, so it's not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and slot some other abilities really quick. Well, the abilities I had previously, so we're going to go ahead and say, we'll throw Incinerate on there so we can show you Lightning Wall, Earth Wall. We're going to take that off of there. We're going to get Healing Surge back on there. And then, of course, we need to apply, because for some reason when you're standing on that side of the damn dojo, it's like, nope, get fucked. So, we're going to go ahead and throw an Incinerate over here. We're going to try and throw our Lightning in there. Boom. No effect. And then we're going to go ahead and throw our wall. As you can see, the area is unable to have a wall affecting it. So, as you can see, that is a good way to block a wall from being provided if you want to be able to still shoot through. So it's not blocking your attacks, blocking your heals. I'll throw another one down. Oh, apparently you can cast through it. I believe enemies cannot, but I'd have to check that. It's been a while. I've seen someone try and use it, but you can blink over this wall and other bullshit, so... You cannot run through it, though. So, there is that. Melee will be affected by it because it hits the closest targets. But either way. So, that pretty much will cover staff. As you can see, you know, there's good damage, there's good DPS, there's good burst, there's, you know, fairly solid crowd control in all retrospect. And all in all, a very viable weapon, and it is probably one of those ones where I would deem it as overpowered, and is even classified as overpowered simply because with proper crowd control application, proper synergy of abilities, you can pretty much 100% to zero someone in one combo. And even if you can't 100% to zero them, you're definitely going to take off roughly about, say, 800 to 1,000 something damage, well, health or more. But all in all, fantastic line. I want to say it's balanced, because I mean, most of the weapons are actually very good. Like, these two I definitely would say are top tier. Spear and Shield, definitely debatable. It has a lot of crowd control, has good damage, but we'll just avoid rambling on that because I can just explain that on each weapon type rather than going through all of that. So that's pretty much staff, and go for it. It's a good healer, it's a good damage dealer, good crowd control, good area denial. It's just very, very recommended.